Thoughts of Sri Aurobindo from the book The Mother, Part 2, Letters on the Mother by Our Lord, Chapter 9, The Mother and the Working of the Ashram, page 237. Demand and Desire. Question: what sort of things can come under the category of demand and desire? What is the exact form of demand and desire? For this, Sri Aurobindo says, there are no special sort of things. Demand and desire can cover all things whatsoever. They are subjective, not objective, and have no special form. Demand is when you claim something to get or possess. Desire is a general term. If one expects that the mother shall smile at him at the pranam and feels wronged if one does not get it, that is a demand. If one wants it and grieves at not getting it, but without revolt or sense of an unjust deprivation, that shows desire. If one feels joy at her smile, but remains calm in its absence, knowing that all the mother does is good, then there is no demand or desire. Next question. You have said about the divine, he may give all that is truly needed, but people usually interpret this idea in the sense that he gives all that they think or feel they need. He may do that, but also he may not. But it is said that he supplies all our psychic needs. For this, Sri Aurobindo says, in the end, yes. But here too, people expect him to supply them constantly, which does not always happen. Date 30th Jan 1936. Question: if our desires are to be rejected, why does mother satisfy sometimes some of them? For this, Sri Aurobindo says, it is you who have to get rid of them. If the mother does not satisfy at all, and the sadhak keeps them, they will get stronger by suggestion from outside. Each one has to deal with them from within. Date 4th September 1933. Question: X told me that if anything comes to us without our asking for it, we should not reject it. For example, someone offers us sweetmeat, we may accept it. But we should not be depressed when things desired by us are not given to us. What do you say about that? For this, Sri Aurobindo says, how can such a rule stand? Suppose someone comes and offers you meat or wine, can you accept it? Obviously not. 100 other instances could be given where the rule would not stand. What the mother gives or allows you, you can take. Date 24th March 1933. Next topic: the mother's sole authority over the ashram work. Sri Aurobindo says, if anybody in the ashram tries to establish a supremacy or dominating influence over others, he is in the wrong. For it is bound to be a wrong vital influence and come in the way of the mother's work. All the work should be done under the mother's sole authority. All must be arranged according to her free decision. She must be free to use the capacities of each separately or together according to what is best for the work and best for the worker. None should regard or treat another member of the ashram as his subordinate. If he is in charge, he should regard the others as his associates and helpers in the work, and he should not try to dominate or impose on them his own ideas or personal fancies, but only see to the execution of the will of the mother. None should regard himself as a subordinate, even if he has to carry out instructions given through another or to execute under supervision the work he has to do. All should try to work in harmony, thinking only of how best to make the work a success. Personal feelings should not be allowed to interfere, for this is a most frequent cause of disturbance in the work, failure, or disorder. If you keep this truth of the work in mind and always abide by it, difficulties are likely to disappear. For others will be influenced by the rightness of your attitude and work smoothly with you, or if through any weakness or perversity in them they create difficulties, the effects will fall back on them and you will feel no disturbance or trouble. Sri Aurobindo continues to say, there is one thing everybody should remember, that everything should be done from the point of view of yoga, of sadhana, of growing into a divine life in the mother's consciousness. To insist upon one's own mind and its ideas, to allow oneself to be governed by one's own vital feelings and reactions should not be the rule of life here. One has to stand back from these, to be detached, to get in their place the true knowledge from above, the true feelings from the psychic within. This cannot be done if the mind and vital do not surrender, if they do not renounce their attachment to their own ignorance, which they call truth, right, justice. All the trouble rises from that. If that were overcome, the true basis of life, of work, of harmony, of all in union with the divine, would more and more replace the trouble and difficulty of the present. Sri Aurobindo continues to say, in your letter to the mother, I note that you profess to be writing a confession, but the tone of it is rather a justification of your faultless self, accompanied by an accusation against the mother of favoritism, bad temper, and injustice. I observe also that your statement of facts is incorrect, and as far as it concerns the mother, grotesque. You lay stress too on a point in which you can justify yourself, and you ignore all the rest in which you err in fault. I will assume, however, that all this was unintentional and that in writing such a letter you were unconscious of the movements of your vital being which inspired its spirit and tone. I would suggest that in your relation with others, which seems always to have been full of disharmony when incidents occur, it would be much better for you not to take the standpoint that you are all in the right and they are all in the wrong. It would be wiser to be fair and just in reflection, seeing where you have gone astray, and even laying stress on your own fault and not on others or theirs. This would probably lead to more harmony in your relation with others. At any rate, it would be more conducive to your inner progress, which is more important than that to be top dog in a quarrel. Neither is it well to cherish a spirit of self justification and self righteousness and wish to conceal either from yourself or from the mother your faults or your errors. As for your doubts about the mother, they are not likely to disappear so long as you think you can read the mother's mind by the light of your own and pass your mental judgments on her and her action from those erroneous data. Nor can they easily disappear if your faith breaks down every time that she does something which your limited intelligence cannot understand or which is displeasing to the feelings and demands of your vital nature. If you do not believe that she has a consciousness greater and wider than yours and not measurably by ordinary standards and judgments, at the very least a yogic consciousness, I do not see on what ground you are practicing yoga here under her guidance. Those who constantly doubt and criticize and blame or attribute her actions to the most common and vulgar human feelings and motives, and yet pretend to accept her or to accept myself and my yoga, are guilty of a stupid and irrational inconsequence. As for understanding, that is another matter. I would suggest that you must grow out of the ordinary mind and become conscious with the true consciousness before you can hope to do it. And for that, faith and surrender and fidelity and openness are conditions of some importance. Date 6th November 1929. Sri Aurobindo continues to say, how can you do like the mother or do the work that she can do? That is the ambition and vanity coming up. Date 5th November 1932. There is no reason for your seeing the mother, nor is this the time for it, nor is there any room for discussion in this matter. There are two things that must be clearly understood. The work here is the mother's, and she has the right to give her orders in whatever way she pleases, and they must be obeyed. No one can be allowed to float our orders, however conveyed, or insist on his own ideas, will, or fancies. If you are prepared to respect and obey her orders without making conditions, you can be allowed to continue the work. Otherwise, you must discontinue. Secondly, all violence must stop. If you want to remain in the ashram, this kind of conduct must cease. Date 18th July 1937.